YouTube. Just a quick update from, well, it's basically been a week since I last did any videoing, so just wanted to give you a quick update and see how everything's getting on. Let me spin you around, let me show you what we're up to. So, here we are. Now, I remember in my first video, I believe I said the fish will be in their temporary homes, that one and the big blue vat, for about 3 to 4 weeks. I forgot how much of a pain in the backside my garden is to dig. Being a handyman, I do a lot of digging for people, whether it's putting shed bases down, digging ponds, general gardening, fence posts, you know, I do a lot of digging. I have never come across a garden like mine. That one bit of concrete that I thought was just in that corner is going all the way along, and it goes under both sets of soil in both directions, so God knows how long that is. God knows what it is or what it was. I mean, it's about 2 foot under the top of the soil level. So yeah, don't know, but sledgehammer or breaker will take care of that when I get that far. What I'm currently doing at the minute is just taking all this topsoil off all the way around. As you can see, just got this little bit left to do now in this corner, but as you can see by the weather, it's absolutely peeing it down with rain, so I've had to stop digging now. I'm carrying more mud on my shoes and, well, trainers than I am in the buckets. What I'm doing, topsoil I'm carrying through to the front of the property and putting it into big dumpy bags for people on Facebook to help themselves to, because everybody likes a bit of topsoil. I've had a few people come and collect some already, and I've still got 2 pretty much full dumpy bags out the front ready to go. This bag down here, get in there, absolutely full of giant pebbles, and that's the next one to be bagged up. The amount, I mean, just to give you a size, look at the size of these pebbles. They're like nearly as big as my hand, and there are thousands of them. I've got 3 more bags out the front of pebbles, and I've got basically 2 more bags here, so that's 5 bags of pebbles. That's what I've managed to dig out today, hardcore wise. And I'll just quickly walk up the other end of the garden to show you. Under the ladder at the back here, ready for my shed base. That's the rest of the hardcore that I've managed to dig out of this hole so far. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is more stones and hardcore than there is soil and clay. On a brighter side, the only bit left to level this off is that little patch there. The rest of it, as you can see all the way around, this bit still needs tampering, but by the time I got round to it, yet again it started raining, and tampering wet clay when it's raining, it just squelches from one side to the other and you can never get it flat and level. So I have to wait for a pretty dry day, and again, being clay, it does take ages to dry out, so that's a bit of a pain. But good news, concrete around the edge, absolutely solid. Not a crack in sight, it stayed level. There is a couple of spots where it looks like the concrete has sunk, but as a general rule of thumb, it's perfectly level all the way around. The few bits that have sunk ever so slightly won't matter, because the sleepers, they're actually going across in one length. I've ordered, well, I say I've ordered, I'll get to that in a second. But I've ordered 3.6 metre sleepers, longest ones I could find, which are just long enough, as that is 3.4 metres from the edge of the concrete to the edge of the concrete. So with the meeting of the next sleeper, I really needed 330, so there'll be like 30 centimetre offcuts from that length, and this side I think is 240, so there'll be quite big offcuts from there. But yeah, ordered these sleepers, what, a week and a half ago now, because of the petrol crisis that we're still having here in Peterborough. I don't know about the rest of the world, but we're still struggling to find diesel because so many people are desperate for diesel. The minute a petrol station gets some, it's plastered all over Facebook. Obviously friends are telling their friends, and within a couple of hours that petrol station is dry of diesel again. Just the queues is absolutely crazy. I queued up on Friday for about an hour and a half. I managed to, they're limiting it £30 per customer, but I managed to get some, so I'm continuing working. But with the weather at the minute and the fact I'm still working almost full time, becoming autumn, being a handyman, things do quieten down a little bit. But in between work, this is what I've managed to get done in a week. Obviously I've taken the steps out that were in the middle. You remember there was like two squares, now there's just one and a concrete slab. But I'm going to have to work out what I'm going to do with. But yeah, the rate it's going, I certainly won't be needing to collect or buy any hardcore for the shed base, that's for sure. I mean, if I do need a bit more, then I'm going to have buckets and buckets and buckets of pebbles that I can throw in. But whether I do anything with these pebbles or not, I don't know, because most of them, as you can see, are huge and they're kind of a bit too big to be like a pebbled garden. Could make a feature out of them. I mean, when I dug the pond initially, I kept some of them pebbles that you can see on the ledge there, kept some of these back to help with the raise the waterfall. Yeah, I don't really need them anymore. Trees are all starting to finally die off. They're all starting to wilt, losing their leaves. Still looking really nice though. I'm quite lucky in my garden. I'm absolutely sheltered by humongous trees and humongous buildings. Everyone's 3-story pretty much all the way around, and then obviously I've got the 6-foot fence up here, but big trees everywhere and then big old buildings. But because of that and the fact obviously my next door neighbour there's got a very large conservatory and a 6-foot fence, I get very little wind in my garden. Both ponds are heated with the same heater to the same temperature. This one's holding at 18. They are only fish tank heaters, mind you, 500 watt fish tank heaters, but this one's holding at 18 at the minute. The one in there, because it's in the pergola, and so are all the filters, all the pipe work and everything inside the pergola, that one is holding at 22. Yeah, they're both set on the thermostats at 22. These guys have just been fed, still swimming around nice and happy. That's the two big ones. And then the little kickamaroo. They're all happy as Larry in there. Filters are still doing well, and still just a trace of nitrite, but everything else spot on. Obviously there is a bit of nitrate in there because there's a trace of nitrite, but ammonia 0, and still, as I say, just a trace of the old nitrite. This pond in here, obviously it's holding at 22, and these guys are still eating like anything. You won't ever see any food still floating around in the top of these guys, because they're on the decking, and it echoes very much in here. They are a bit skittish, but they're still, if I can get in there, they're still poorly, unfortunately. There's everybody. There they are. The silver one at the back, which is, I believe, Deutz Jin Matsuba, the white silvery one, he had a massive ulcer down his back, but it's now fully healed. He's just missing most of his dorsal fin. The yellow ogon, you can see there, he's still got a small ulcer on his dorsal fin, but the worst one that just won't seem to heal. I'm treating it with everything. As you all know, there's 6%, and the windows are a bit dirty, you have to apologise. Let's see if I can find him. Oh, there he is, round the corner. Can't really get a good shot in. But yeah, it's salted to 6%. Because it's salted, obviously you can't use you can't use most treatments in a pond with salt. So just the occasional dose of acroflavin, because that you can use with salt up to limits. So I'm doing that regularly to keep the bacteria down in the pond. Not that there is any, because the backy shower had an absolute massive clean out 2 weeks ago, and the top section is cleaned out twice a week. The pressure filter, I completely took it apart and gave it a deep clean, same 2 weeks ago, and gets a spin clean 2-3 times a week, which, because it's such a small pond to such a massive pressure filter, just by doing a spin clean, just by doing that, it's a 20% water change. The water level drops by about 4 to 6 inches, and it's only about 2 foot deep. So obviously they get retopped back up with every clean, and then again they're also getting tropically treated 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how much time I've got. But their ulcers just won't heal. I mean, I'm pretty confident whatever infection caused it. Obviously I know it came from the Israel fish, because all my fish were happy as Larry. I put 4 that was in the main pond, and then they all started dropping dead, and I put 4 in my grow on tank, and they all started dropping dead. So it was, whatever it was came from those fish, but I'm pretty confident now whatever it was is out of the water, because if it was still in there, being in such a confined space in 1,000 litres of water, it would continue spreading from fish to fish. But none of the others, only the 2, one's, as I say, one's fully healed up, not a mark on him, other than missing most of his dorsal fin, and none of the others have got any signs whatsoever. So it can't, well, who knows? I mean, comment, give me some ideas, guys. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I mean, a fair few people have said to me, if it was them, what they would do, they would just cull all the fish in this pond, and start again. But I just haven't got the heart to do it. I've lost so many fish this year because of that infection. As I say, I lost 30 grow-ons in the fish tank, and almost 30 from the main pond. I mean, the guys that are in here are all that I had left that was in the main pond, and I had 35 fish in there, and I've now got how many? 6. So it was 29 that I lost from the main pond, because obviously that wasn't as hot as the grow on tank. It was a much slower process, which is why I'm keeping this heated, because if they're gonna go, then I want them to go before I think, oh, that once the temperature cools down, whatever it was that was affecting it was worse in the heat, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't want to think that it's all better. Put them in the main pond next summer, warms up, and they all start dropping again. I'm just glad that I've already separated the few that were in there. Obviously we know I lost my favourite one because he jumped out one night and I'd left the front cover off, but that was my own fault. Still, we learn from our mistakes. I won't be buying any Israeli fish again anyway. And a lot of people say don't mix Japanese with Israeli, but then a lot of people turn around and say, well, I've had mixed Japanese, Israeli and English in a pond for years and years and years, no problems. Absolutely, no doubt about it. To be honest, so did I. My main pond was a mix of Israel and Japanese, but you've only got to get that one fish, whether it's carrying KHV or one of the other deadly diseases. Otherwise you end up going through the same thing that I've gone through. We all learn from our mistakes, but if you can quarantine your fish that you buy yourself, even possibly heat ramping them yourself, whether it's a very reputable dealer or not. You know, just by quarantining your fish, you've got that assurity then that if there is any diseases or even parasites, you know, you'll be able to catch it before it brings anything more into your pond. So my horrible lesson that I learned the hard way, I hope this helps somebody else. If you can quarantine the fish, even if it's just a temporary swimming pool, you know, I know a lot of people use them to house their fish while they're building new ponds or moving home, but just from quarantining your fish could save all your other fish's lives, you know. So it's certainly a mistake I learnt the hard way, and I will be let's say building a quarantine / grow on vat myself. When I'm not growing on fish, I'll be using it as a quarantine or even a hospital tank if individual treatments need to be made. It's certainly, what's the word? Certainly worth it, because you know it could save you a lot of money, a lot of heartache. So yeah, absolutely, it's certainly worth doing. Anyway, I'm waffling, so I'll call it a day here and come back to you when I've done some more. Thanks for watching. Bye.